Hello. So I am gonna make this video because this has been on my head and on my heart for a little while, so I just wanted to talk about it, get it out there, and yeah, kind of just share my experience with what I dealt with depersonalization is what this video is about, and how other videos that I watch on YouTube really helped me get through it. And yeah, so I will share my story and maybe you can relate or maybe not, and I hope something else helps you. Okay, so to start off my story with DP, this last summer I was like having a bit like more anxiety than usual, and I was just like, okay, you know, like a stressful time in my life, like it's been a year since I graduated college, and you know, you go into the whole like, what am I doing with my life type of thing, and this and that, like I've had the same job for 6 years and where am I going from here, blah blah blah. I didn't really think that affected my psyche as much as maybe it did, or had other underlying issues. I'm not still really sure what caused it, but I don't even know if there is a cause, but anyway, I'll stop rambling. So essentially in June, I came back from a trip from up north, where I went to visit one of my good friends, and I came back and we had been like, you know, just like going out a lot and all this stuff. We went wine tasting, and so there's like a lot of drinking involved. So I already don't do well with hangovers / drinking because of like my anxiety and panic attacks. So it always kind of puts me into a low. So I know that already, but this is kind of like a different like thing. And for a while I've had like really vivid dreams. And they started like, I would just, you know, wake up and I was like, whoa, I had like the craziest dream, you know, like whatever, like a normal person. And then after this trip, for some reason, I started to kind of question my reality in a sense, of when I was dreaming versus when I was not. And I can't explain it other than just that sentence alone. Like, I couldn't decipher between reality and my dreams because my dreams were so vivid, and in my dreams I would wake up and think I was awake, and then I would actually wake up. It's just like it's a huge inception, like brain blows my brain. I still don't get it. So on top of that, I kind of didn't like put that two and two together. Like I kind of tried to push that away, and I just stayed in bed. And then one night I woke up and I went to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and I looked in the mirror and I didn't really recognize myself. Obviously I knew it was me, but I kind of just felt outside of myself, and I was just like then questioning who I was, and like it was just very strange. If you have it, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. And I don't know how to explain it other than I just didn't feel like me. I just felt detached, and I felt like, what is life like? I don't know. I can send myself into a spiral right now if I really tried hard enough. But anyway, so then that kind of freaked me out, and you know, me being millennial, I go to Snapchat and I take a selfie, and then I like stare at it for a long time, which is probably the worst thing I could do. But I was sitting there, it's the middle of the night, I'm already scared, like whatever, so I'm just like, whatever, I need to go to sleep. And then from then on out, it kind of just like spiraled downwards, and I thought that feeling was going to go away in the morning, but it didn't, and the dreams persisted, and my like kind of what is reality, what isn't, kept going. And then that kind of triggered me into panic attacks, so I would be constantly in a state of panic, a state of anxiety, which then led me to like just being depressed all the time, because I didn't know what was real, I didn't know what was a dream, I couldn't like live my life, I couldn't drive because I would get triggered by like the sky being too blue, and I'd be like, oh, I must be in a dream because the sky's never this blue and it looks pretty cartoonish to me, you know. And like I would go through that process, and I would think to myself, why would I be driving to work in my dream? And then I'm like, well, why wouldn't I be? You know, it's just like this whole thing, like, of just driving myself crazy, and I couldn't stop, and I don't even know how to explain it. But anyway, so that turned into a whole fiasco. And then it came to the point where I couldn't drive. I think I already mentioned that. So then I stopped going to work. I kind of gave work. I told my higher up manager that I needed 3 weeks for myself and I needed to figure out what was going on. And for 2 of those weeks, I spent literally in bed. I didn't eat. I couldn't eat because if I ate, I would either gag or throw up. Like, it literally took me probably half an hour to get down a piece of toast with butter on it. And I'm pretty sure I threw it up because I was just not in the mood for it. Or not in the mood. I just didn't want to eat. I couldn't, like, get it down. I tried to drink water because I knew, like, obviously I had to. So in that span of time, I lost 23 pounds because of my lack of eating and all this kind of stuff. So then, of course, that added to my fear, you know, on top of everything else. I was just like, oh my God, like, I'm getting so skinny, and, like, I know I'm not eating, and blah, blah, blah. And it came to the point where I was waking up, like, probably around 3:30 or 4, and I was like, oh my God, like, I feel like a sense of relief. Like, when you're in that state of DP, like, and you get a window of relief, it's like a breath of fresh air. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's like the best thing, like, in the world. But then I would go back to sleep, and I would wake up around 5 or 6, and I would just be shaking. I would be in a state of panic. I would have, like, would have had, like, a weird dream or something, and then kind of just be, like, you know, suspicious of my, like, surroundings. It's all very strange. And, like, I couldn't go outside. Everything was just, like, hyper sensitive for me. Like, everything was so bright, or, like, it just looked like as if, like, I just, you know, that meme of, like, Mr. Krabs where everything's, like, blurry around. Like, that was, like, my vision and my sense of, like, being for a while. And it was just so scary. And I got to the point where, like I said, I wasn't eating, and I got so weak, like, I was constantly laying down. And my mom, you know, obviously was, like, worried for me, so she would try to get me to go outside, and I literally couldn't, like, go down my stairs and, like, walk around the pool in my apartment complex because I was scared to be outside. And I had to be, like, with my phone. My phone was, like, my go-to for, like, a while. I was, like, glued to YouTube because that was, like, the only thing that could, like, distract me. I'd watch so many of these videos of people that, like, are going through it and why. And I would read articles on, like, why this is happening and, like, what I can do to cure it and this and that and this and that. And I tried all, like, these meditations, and I've listened to these audiobooks or these audio courses, and I just tried to do, like, everything possible. And so, like, you know, day by day, like, some days were okay, some days were worse than others. Most of the time I would wake up and want to go back to bed. And I would lay in bed all day and just play hill climb was my go-to game, and I would watch YouTube videos. And my point of saying I couldn't go outside is because when I tried to go outside and walk around the pool, my legs would literally shake because I was so weak that I couldn't walk. And obviously that's scary. I was a 23-year-old, you know, girl. Like, I shouldn't be so weak that my legs are shaking to go down the stairs. Like, literally they would, like, quiver. Like, I couldn't. It was so strange. So then eventually it came to a point where I'm leaving out the part where I would literally sob all the time because I had no idea what was going on and why it got so bad. And everyone kept asking me, like, well, what happened? What's going on? I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I can't tell you a specific event that just triggered me off, I guess. And so it came to the point where people are telling me I need to go to therapy, I need to go to the doctor, I need to do this, I need to do that, blah, blah, blah. All meanwhile, I'm terrified to go outside or be in a car or do anything. Like, yeah, so I actually, side stories, I went to a grocery store when I started to kind of get better, and I literally, like, the lights in the grocery store, like they made me, like, I don't know, I felt like I was gonna vomit. Every time I was out in public, like, I felt like I was literally gonna die. And, like, I don't know. Or I was dreaming, which was even worse. Like if I was on the freeway or something and something weird happened, like even in the passenger seat, felt like I was dreaming. Like it was just, and then I would go into panic. It's just freaking awful. I don't know how to describe it, but it came to a point where at the end of those 2 weeks, basically, that I was in bed, I woke up on Friday, I think, and I was just shaking for like 2 hours. My heart rate was at like 125 for like 2 hours, and I know this because I was literally glued to the blood pressure cuff, and I would constantly rate my, or like monitor my like heart rate, because I like to see, like, my sitting heart rate was already like 90 because of my like natural freaking like panic state that I'm in, I guess, or like my anxiety. And then so I was sitting there and I was shaking and I was sweating and I was crying and I like didn't know what to do, and I was just laying on my back, and I was like who can live like that, you know? Like I couldn't do anything. Like I wasn't doing anything. I just woke up and I was in this state of just like freaking out for no reason. And so then I finally decided that I wanted to go to urgent care, which my whole point of not doing anything sooner is because I like refuse to be on pharmaceuticals. I don't think that any drug was going to help my DP, because from everything I read, there's no cure, there's no, you know, like whatever, anti-DP, like there's an antidepressant, which I believe didn't even work sometimes anyway. And, you know, I was always scared of, like antidepressants. You hear like sometimes people get worse, or they get worse anxiety, or, you know, whatever. So like I was always so like anti, like any drug. But in that moment, like I needed anything to like help me. So point of the story being is I ended up going to urgent care, and I was crying all the way there because I felt like I failed myself, and I was just like so disappointed in the fact that I had to turn to like the thing that I like fought against so hard. And so I go and I see the doctor, and I see her for probably less than 10 minutes, and after walking away, I'm prescribed with Xanax and Lexapro, which is an antidepressant, which is surprising that a lot of people are like, I'm surprised you got that out of urgent care, and I guess I am too, now that everybody says it. So my experience with that is that I took Xanax. Everyone knows what Xanax is, I'm assuming. I took Xanax like just to calm me down from like everything. And the first time I took Xanax, I felt like 180. Like everything was like, I felt like back to normal. I couldn't even imagine how I was thinking and like why, you know, like all this stuff. I was just like literally on cloud nine for like an hour, and I was just like, why didn't I do this in the first place, you know, blah blah blah. And then the next day comes, and I don't know, I don't remember, I got like, you know, a bottle of it or whatever, and then it was like take one or take half, I don't know, it was something like take half like every blah blah blah, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then so what ended up happening is the half didn't work again the next day like it did the day before. So then I ended up taking a whole one, and then I think I ended up either taking like 1.5 or 2, and I was laying in bed and I was worse than I had ever been, and at the same time my jaw was like clenched and like locked jaw, and I felt stuck and I felt like a zombie and I couldn't move, and it was awful. And I like didn't take Xanax after that. And then I started taking my Lexapro because I was just like, if this is what's gonna help, this is what's gonna help, you know, because the doctor's like, oh, like you're depressed, and I was just like, okay, you know, like if I am, sure. And so I started taking anything that would help. So then I was on Lexapro, and of course it doesn't work for like a month or whatever, or something, you know, a couple weeks. So I'm like sitting there and I'm just like hopelessly like, you know, like I went to urgent care, what now, you know, like I'm not gonna take any more Xanax. So then I take more time off from work, and then I think it's beginning of July at this point, and so we're like looking, we as in me and my mom are looking for like, you know, all these different like what are we gonna do and all this kind of stuff. And so we find this like holistic naturopath doctor that I like wanted to see, but she was booked out until the 24th of July. I think yeah, she was booked out till like almost the end of July, and it was like the 1st of July or like the beginning of July, and I literally thought I was going to die before I saw her. Like, I was just like, the end of July, like I'm literally not gonna make it, you know. And I had never like, I don't know how to like, I wouldn't label myself suicidal, half because I don't want to, second because I never intended on ever like going through with any of the thoughts I had, but I would have weird thoughts like, I'm just gonna say them just in case like other people have had these and like it's not normal, but like they're just thoughts is what I've learned. So it's like I would go in the kitchen and, you know, to cut like a piece of fruit or something, you know, I would have a knife in my hand, and I was just like, what would happen if I just stabbed myself in the stomach, you know, like. And it wasn't ever because I wanted to feel pain or anything. It was just like I could so easily just like, I don't know. I don't even know what my thought process was. My thoughts would just jump to that, and it was like so weird. Or like, I don't know, like even when I was in the car, like to make reality seem real, I was like, what if I could just like get in a car accident? Or what if I just like run off this like off ramp or something, you know, like just so my reality around me was real, which is so crazy and should like, that's not a okay state of mind to be in, you know. And so, I mean, I would just kind of wander around the house and go from bed to, I couldn't even lay on the couch, honestly. I would just stay in bed, and I had a routine of what shows were on at what times and when I was watching YouTube, and you know, that was that. And even going to the bathroom was like a freaking struggle. I had to take my phone. I had to make sure I was distracted in some way. Like just simple things like going pee for like 10 seconds was like, felt like running a freaking triathlon for me. Like I would like shake. I would like start to get into a panic, and I couldn't shower because when I would see my arms and my legs, I would feel detached from them, and it was just a wild time. So like eventually I got in contact with my insurance, and I scheduled to see a therapist, and I started to go see a therapist. The only problem is, and what I'm going to tell you right now, is don't just get discouraged. A lot of people don't know what DP is. I tried to explain it to her, and I would explain her the dream thing, and you know, she gave me all these like, bless her heart, she gave me all these like kind of cliche textbook like things to kind of like do in order to not think about it. But I mean, if you have it, it's not a matter of like not thinking about it. It feels like it is you, you know, so it's like, or whoever you are, or you know, whatever. So I think therapy helped. I think as much as I don't want to say it, my medicine helped, but also the thing that I think helped the most that got me through it is my naturopath doctor. I went to her, and she cut my diet, or I mean I wasn't eating it anyway, so she put me on a really strict diet. She cut out sugar, dairy, and grains. So I was on like meat and select veggies and select fruits like dark berries and like antioxidant berries and or fruit, and I was on veggies, and she put me on like protein shake, and I was on a bunch of supplements, and I slowly started to, you know, gain weight back and have a healthier diet. And I just think my diet overall, just cutting out certain stuff and just kind of like eating healthier, which I never really ate unhealthily, but I definitely had a lot of sugar in my diet. But I think cutting out sugar, because what they say is your brain and your thoughts come from your gut, so the first place to start is like your gut. And I seriously think that's what like helped me on top of, you know, going to therapy and making lifestyle changes, and just kind of, a lot of people say, like, don't, you know, watch, you know, don't surround yourself with constantly information about, like, you know, DP or whatever, because I would just read article after article after article, watch video after video about depression and anxiety and panic attacks, and, like, yes, it kept me thinking about it, but also kind of relieved my mind that other people were going through it. So it's like, yes, you have to stay away from that stuff, and you will eventually, like, once you figure out what works for you. But you also kind of just have to let go of the thought that, or like let go of like your thoughts. Like, your thoughts are just your thoughts. They're not like you, which I know is already like a weird thing to think about in general, but it's just like the whole, like, you know, car accident thing. Like, why does that cross your mind? No one knows, you know, but like, you can easily let it go as much as you can hold it in and obsess over it, you know. And another thing is you have to let, the more you suppress and don't want to feel something, the more it's going to bubble over and like kind of hold on to you. So another thing that I learned is you have to acknowledge what you're feeling and kind of let yourself feel it and just let it move on. Like, as easy as it came, you have to let it go. And I know, again, that's like so hard to like process if you're in a certain state of mind, but it's kind of like you need to just take a deep breath. You know, I don't know, just listen to music, listen to a meditation, like surround yourself with somebody, or be by yourself, or take a hot shower, hot bath, do something that kind of like relaxes you, or just talk to a camera, or like write it down, or do something to get it out. Like, just, I don't know how to like explain that, but you just have to kind of like go through the motions, if that makes sense. But moral of everything, I just wanted to say that YouTube videos really helped me get through a lot of stuff. There was a couple guys that I watched and I was just like, this is crazy. Like, I can't believe other people actually feel this way. I thought I was literally going crazy and I was going to die. Like, I was just like, I don't know. There was like, I felt so hopeless, so helpless, so everything you can imagine. And now I'm here on the other side of everybody that I was watching on YouTube saying that I am on the other side and I got through it, and it is possible, and it's a lot of hard work, I'm not gonna lie. And it's constant. Like, you can't, like, I got better and I felt great for like a while, and then I started to reintroduce other things that were like guilty pleasures into my diet, and I could tell a difference. But it's like, you have to kind of stay on top of yourself and just like kind of keep track and keep note of what bothers you in your diet. Obviously regulate your drinking, because that doesn't help. And it's like, for a while I was like really mad. Not mad, I was just like kind of frustrated. I was like, why am I not normal? Like, why am I not normal in my 20s? Like, I can't drink. Like, I see some of my friends just drink and then, you know, take a nap and then they can go again. But like, for me, if I drink and I get hungover and I just like have the, you know, depression blues for the next freaking week and I have to recover, and it's like, I don't know, it's just like, it gets you kind of, I don't know, it gets me like frustrated and like upset over it, but also at the same time, alcohol's not good for you anyway, so like, maybe better that you don't drink excessively to the point where you're constantly hungover. So it's kind of good in that sense that you kind of have to regulate yourself on that. And about therapy, I honestly don't go to therapy anymore. I went to therapy for 14 weeks and it was okay for a while, and it just wasn't necessary for me. Or I felt I was done. I didn't need it anymore. And I mean, like, I'd like to go back. Like, I'd like to go like once a month or something, just to like just to like catch up, and kind of go over some stuff or whatever. You know, sometimes I have harder times than others, and I do get like waves of sadness. And like, I think the biggest thing is like to remember is like, once you have DP, it's like, you don't want to be cynical and saying it never goes away. But also the same thing with like depression, anxiety. There's no cure for like it to just be over ever. You know, it's like, you constantly are a work in progress. You're constantly working on yourself, and like it does come to the point where like you do choose. Sorry, my dog is like rolling around up there. Like you have to choose what you're gonna do for yourself. You know, like you can't, and it is all on you. Like you can't rely on other people. Like I think that was the scariest part for me, is it was all on me, and I had to figure it out, and no one else could help me with how I was feeling because no one got it. And that is a terrifying thing as well as a like powerful thing, because once you figure it out and once you kind of, I don't know what changed. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe my medication helped. I'm sure it did. My diet changed. My overall lifestyle changed. I'm taking supplements. I'm eating, like I had just like a healthier lifestyle. And yeah, that's basically it. Like, I don't know. I think the biggest thing is like, don't be so hard on yourself. Don't take everything so seriously. Like I said, your thoughts, like they're not that serious, you know, and it's like you get sucked into this world of just like a wormhole of like desperation, and it's awful, so awful. And I was there for so long, it felt, and I felt like my life was just being wasted. But you know, here I am, live to see another day. Let people help you, I think is another thing. As much as it's on you, like you can't accept help from other people, but remember, it is your choice and your decision to better yourself. So that's my little Gandhi motivation speech there. And just for the record, like I have a new job that I love. I still work at the old place too, but less than I work at this new place. I have a 5-month-old puppy that I love, and I enjoy life. And it's crazy because last summer I wanted to die and I don't know what to say other than that. Like I actually enjoy being around my friends. I enjoy going places. I always looked forward to trips, but now I actually enjoy when I'm on them, not just like to get away and hope that I felt something different. Now it's actually like living my life, and it's crazy. So you can do it, and you will do it, and keep going, because life is hard, but it doesn't have to be. So you make that decision and you get the help you need, and don't let people stigmatize you because of medication, because I'm pretty sure medication has helped me like literally save my life, and that's dramatic, but it's the truth. And if you don't want to do medication, that's fine. And if you don't want to do anything I said, then that's fine, but you need to figure out what works for you, and what works for you works for you, and no one else can say anything about it. So that is my spiel. Yeah, so I hope someone found that helpful, or not, and if you didn't, thanks for letting me share my story, and I hope you can share your story someday too. So my camera's actually sitting on a book that says the things you can see only when you slow down. So with that, I am going to go find my puppy and hug her, even though she doesn't like being cuddled. So I will see you later. Goodbye. This is my puppy. This is my puppy that I love so much. Look at her cute face. She loves me.